And welcome back into the Rip City Drive with Chad Doing. Only there is no Chad Doing again today. He'll be back tomorrow, so it's me, Curtis Long, filling in for Chad. And I don't think Chad would mind if I said that he's not my favorite person to fill in for. No, that would be our special guest right here in studio.
Wearing the letter O, Damian Lillard.
Yeah, you know the voice. It's the PA voice of the Portland Trailblazers at Moda Center for the past 30 years. Fans, it's the one and only Mark Mason. Mace, thanks so much for taking time to join the Rip City Drive, not on the phone, but live here in studio today.
Yes.
Can you believe it's been 30 years behind that mic?
Yes, I am ready. This is how I talk every day.
All the time.
All the time. It's like this, everybody. Can you please, sir, fill up my car with gas? I'll have one cheeseburger and order fries.
Hold the mayo.
Yeah.
30 years for you behind that mic. Can you believe it?
Yeah. I mean, some days, yeah. It's, and other days it's still fresh. Every game is, to me, like the first game. So, that's how I try to mentally prepare.
Now, the schedule is out. You know which 41 nights of the year you're going to be booked. Do you get a little more excited this time of year? You've been doing this for so long, maybe you'll put it off a little bit longer.
I've had a busy summer.
Yes.
So I haven't really looked a lot at the schedule. And I haven't, I saw that San Antonio's kind of front loaded with us. And I heard you talking about it. So some other quirks and anomalies of the schedule. But, to me, we go in, as I say, every game is the first game. I try and picture when I'm there, when I sit down, that there's a dad with his son or daughter, or a mom with their son or daughter, a family there for the first time at the game. So they've never been to Moda Center. So that's who, in my mind, that's who I'm picturing I'm talking to. And I'm not excluding everybody else, all the season ticket holders who are there. But it's just that kind of keeps it in focus for me. So I know that I'm going to try and do my best, at least.
Now, take us back to those auditions way back in 1996. How did you find out about the opportunity, and how did the whole process work?
I was working here.
Yeah.
And at KEX, and KEX carried the Blazers. So I was doing the afternoon show, and the position came up, so they did auditions. And it was you weren't around then, were you?
Oh, I was around. I remember when that position opened. In fact, I probably
you were too young. You were probably too young.
I probably, as a college student, sent in a cassette tape, but was not considered.
I remember auditioning, and it was over at Memorial Coliseum.
Okay.
And they set up a big screen. It was out in front, so we were not inside the Coliseum.
Oh, outside.
So it was a big screen outside under the awning.
Yeah.
And a big screen, and they said, go ahead and call the play-by-play, of this as the screen is going on. And I'm going like, I can't even see that screen. It's bright. I can't see who made the shots.
Yeah.
So I winged it. I kind of, I faked it. And so I did enough right that they brought me back as one of 3 finalists.
Okay.
We each did a preseason game.
Okay.
And I remember the very first game I did, I was so nervous.
This is a preseason game, but 1996, so it was in Moda Center.
It was in
then the Rose
Moda
Garden
Center, yes.
Yeah.
It was in Moda Center. And so I did it, and I thought I did okay. And then the next 2 games with 2 other guys, and I listened to the radio to hear them in the background to see how they were doing. I thought they did well. And I thought, oh, there's no way I get this.
So you were first out of 3. You were
3,
first
right?
out of
First out of 3, and the team decided we can't decide. There was nothing special about these 3 that set them apart. So we're going to have them do one more game. And the game that I got was November 10th, and it was my birthday. And I just remembered that night, I said, I'm going to let it fly. I'm just going to do it. The first game, I did it the way I thought they wanted it to be done. So this time, and this is a lesson for everybody, every kid who's out there auditioning for a job somewhere, or if you're a performer auditioning for a role, you just got to lay it out there.
Yeah.
And so I went for it. I did some, for what might be the Times crazy things with the intros and extending vowels and trying to hit some high points in the game and make them singular. And that was it. That got me the job. That was the end of it.
You remember getting that phone call?
I don't recall how I found out.
Okay.
I don't recall. I really don't. It was just weird. Harry Hutt was the guy who I think made the decision. And he just said, "You're it. You're it. You're it."
There you go.
And Harry just would wander through the Moda Center, and always check on everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope that he didn't have to check on me often, But every now and then it would be funny, he would say something like, these were all truisms that, let's say, we're playing the Lakers, and we're going to beat them bad.
Yeah.
We're piling up on them. I would hear in the headphones, don't beat them up too bad here because we got to play them again in a week in L.A. I mean, think about stuff like that.
Yeah.
You don't want to embarrass the other team.
Right.
That was, and that's something I carry in my hip pocket all the time. It's fun to have, to kind of grind the other team down when you're on a 20-0 run and everything else, but you don't want to embarrass the other team, and because they're professionals, and any NBA team can beat any other NBA team. I don't care if you're Oklahoma or San Antonio on any given day. So don't give them. I'm not going to be the reason that they go into the locker room and say, "Yeah, that guy, the guy on the speakers. You hear him?
You hear him?
What a jerk he was." We'll take care of the team next time.
Well, I love your advice. Just go out there and let it fly. That's what I love about you. You are so unique in your style, and you don't worry about what other people might perceive a public address announcer should be. I want to know, where did the introduction of certain players in their native language come from? We've had Batum in French, Nurkic, of course, in Bosnian, now Kamara back in French. Do you talk to those players ahead of time?
Yes.
Okay. How does that work?
It started with Arvydas Sabonis, of course. And so, he was such a big thing. And I just wanted to do something that set him apart from everybody else, because he was a player set apart from everybody else. And so I rolled it by him. I asked him, I said, "Hey, would you want to hear it in your native language?" And he said, "Sure." And so he talked me through the pronunciation.
Oh, he went over it with you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. He did it. But it's funny because when you hear him, and pardon me, I just got back from the dentist.
Yes.
and she put so much Novocaine. I thought that was at 10 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
And she comes back with the second needle. I said, "You doing more?" And she goes, yeah, we really want to numb this thing up. And I said, "Okay." I thought 10 o'clock, I've got a 3 o'clock. I'll be fine.
I'll be fine.
But there's this one part of my lip here that's not cooperating. So he phonetically talks me through it.
Yes.
And so sometimes, I'll say, "Well, how do you say at center?"
Yeah.
But centers may not be what they call it in Lithuania or in Nurk's case, Bosnia or whatever. So, they know it as one thing, and I don't think they ever really pay attention to it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Even in their homeland, they just kind of wait for their name and run out on the court.
Right.
So, they walked me through it phonetically. Did it with Enes Kanter. That was the hardest one. That was a weird one. Still is kind of weird, I guess, these days. With Enes,
to introduce him would be a little odd, for sure.
And then, with Tumani.
Yep.
Same thing.
Batum.
Well, it's funny with Tumani, I think I speak better French than he does. But anyway, but Nicola had to talk me through it. So everybody does.
Do you ever get a look from him? Or you're probably not paying attention much.
No, never. You mean like I got it wrong?
No, like maybe they smile on their way out.
Oh, you know what? I no, they're getting into game form, but invariably, let's say they go to another team and they're coming back.
Yeah.
Every time they come to the table, say hi. And some have even said, I missed that intro.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. That shows the impact that you make for sure. Now, I want to know a couple other ones. Where did From I-5 or Downtown, or my favorite from last season, A Lob to Rob?
Yeah.
Where do those come from?
Okay. Lob to Rob, is Todd Bosma's thing. Plays with Todd. So that he came up with that one. and then I'll hear it in my headphones. The way we communicate.
Yes.
If you watch me, I'm down there. I've got one ear, and it's got a headphone on it. And I'm connected to about 8 other game operations people, so we all know what's going on at the same time. So Todd calls timeout. We're going to go Blazer Dancers timeout. We all know to shut up and let him dance. But Lob to Rob came from him. From I-5 was just well, I'll tell you, if you were at the game and they shoot a 3 from the I-5 side of Motor Center, that's from I-5. Okay. If they shoot it from the corner on the player's bench side, that's from downtown.
That's from downtown.
Yeah, so there's little spots on the court that I have different calls for.
Yeah, they're geographically accurate.
And if it's like, if it's Dame shooting from almost half court, then I literally, in my mind, I see where he shot from and then draw a line from the basket through Dame all the way out past Moda Center to some community.
Yes.
Way out there. So I'll say, from McMinnville.
Yeah. We've had that. I think Dave's made some from Seaside before.
Yeah, exactly. I literally do that in my mind as the ball's in the air. And I thought, well, that may make it. We got something here. Boom, we do it.
Now, for those of you listening who have been to a game at Moda Center and you hear that from I-5, from downtown, that's geographically accurate. He's not just making that up as he goes along.
That's right.
That's from what side of the court they're on.
Exactly. Now, do the players even know that? I don't know. I doubt it.
But our listeners do now.
They're playing
Rip City
a game.
Radio
They're
listeners
trying to win.
Now, you mentioned a little bit about Blazer Todd, one of my favorite people who is in your ear. Now, if you pay close attention to Mark Mason down on the floor, if you see him during a television broadcast or if you're there live, you'll see he's wearing a headset and he's got one ear on and there's someone talking to him. That's usually Blazer Todd, who is telling you what's coming up in the timeouts. But take our listeners a little bit behind the scenes on a game night. When do you arrive? How do you get prepared? Because I think Blazer Todd is one of the only ones left who still provides like a 30-plus page stapled script before each game.
Yeah, and he complains because as my eyesight has degraded over the last 30 years.
Got to increase the font.
I say, can you make the font a little bigger? Do that. So, every season he bumps it up a little bit. So, when I started, it was 20 pages.
Right.
Now it's 30. But he's there all day. That's amazing. The meeting that we have for game operations is at 2 hours before tip, and we go over every timeout, what we would like to see in that timeout, because sometimes they're sponsored, and sometimes they're Blazer dancers or whatever that we'll do, and it changes during the game, but we map it out beforehand, so everybody knows what's going on at halftime.
So you know exactly what's going to happen first time out, first quarter. It's mapped out.
It's usually that's the one that always is. That's the one that happens no matter what, right?
Yeah.
Unless we open the game 20-0 and we go, and then Todd will yell hot timeout. Now that's another insider.
Okay, this
you
is
want
an
another
insider. Yep.
Hot timeout is when we throw everything out the window, throw the script out the window, toss it out. And the Blazer dancers come out on the court and dance, and we'll kind of keep the crowd going.
Yeah.
And they'll play loud music, and the stunt crew would be out there, doing things, keeping the crowd into it because we're beating them, we're beating the pants off.
Yeah, that's right.
So we got the mood. So he'll yell hot timeout, and that cancels everything, and that shifts everything back one timeout. So
I love that. Hot timeout. So you're getting
timeout.
the inside information, Rip City Drive listeners. We've learned about hot timeout. Now you can see on camera here if you're checking us out on YouTube.
Yeah, look at this. You guys have a Blazer Dancers.
Blazer Dancer poster. It's all autographed.
And my daughter.
I was going to say, you have a special connection.
My daughter
to one
danced
of those
for
dancers.
5 years for the Blazer Dancers. That was a great time. That was just awesome.
Yeah, how cool is it for you to be
lucky.
on the courtside mic and your daughter's out there during timeouts?
Yeah, it was great. I was so proud of her, and I just loved. All the other dancers. I'm so proud of them, what they do every season. I know how hard they work.
Yeah.
So everybody, they come out and they make it look so easy, but that's kind of how it is.
You know how they make it look easy when they have those reunion nights too. Once the season, they bring them all back. I can't believe some of these dancers who were dancers in maybe
and you know how they do that?
The 2000s.
They're so professional that they're able to choreograph on video.
Oh gosh.
So they'll get together, wherever they may be in Tennessee or up in North Dakota or down in Florida, where they have to be, they all get together and they say, here are the moves, and they show them on video. They practice them, and then when they get there, they can just go through it and kind of put it together. But see, they're pros.
Yes.
They've got the mental capacity to remember all that stuff. When my daughter would do father-daughter dances in high school, I could go make 4 or 5 moves and I'd forget. I'm done.
Right.
And she would have to walk me through. Okay, Dad, now we do this. Now you step out your right foot here. But it was so much fun, seeing her out there and the rest of the team. I was just really proud of the moment.
Now, you mentioned that they can go through that wherever they may be. That pops something into my mind. This is fairly new for you when you introduce people. As soon as that horn goes off, and I got to think this is a tribute to the Shawns, but you say, "Good evening, basketball fans, wherever you may be seated."
Yes.
Yeah, that's new, fairly new within the last few years. Is that a tribute to the Shawns?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah. And I didn't put that in. That was
right.
That was a Todd. That was a Todd thing. Yeah.
Todd Bosma thought of that. How about your most memorable night at Moda? Is it the night when Dame snatched the mic from you in that Houston game winner?
Yep, absolutely.
Now,
still, the 3-pointer past Paul George was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was more than pretty good. It was really good. It was awesome good. But the 3-pointer to send Houston home, and then get us back into the playoffs and grabbing the microphone was epic.
Yeah. And the look on your face, 'cause they show that all the time. They show him grab that mic, and you can see the glee on your face. Did you have when did you realize he's coming over to take your mic?
He was walking off the court. But the crowd was not going to let this thing go. It was insane. It was so loud. It was so loud, it was white noise in your ear. So, there comes a point where you get like overload, and it's just noise that is no longer cheering. It's just
it's just in your
like
ear.
a jet engine.
Yeah.
And the crowd wasn't letting down. I thought the crowd would kind of ease down, but didn't do it. And Dame does a little off-court interview or whatever he does. He starts walking off the court, and he's walking by me, and I screamed. I said, somebody's got to say something. Do an encore. We got to do something for this crowd. This crowd was still cheering as loud as they did when the basket was made. And Dame got it. So when I just kind of held the microphone and I pointed to it, and he looked at it, and he's like that. He turned. If you look at the video, he turns, comes right over, and uses the 2 perfect words, Rip City.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable. Yeah, it couldn't be. And that did it. The people got what they wanted. They got an encore, a bow from Damian Lillard, and that's the only time that's ever happened.
Yeah, there you get the behind-the-scenes stories you won't get anywhere else but right here on the Rip City Drive with Mark Mason. Dame came over, took the mic from you, iconic ever since. Now, how about, you mentioned before that some of the players who maybe are traded or they go off to another team, they come back, they maybe give you a nod at the scores table, maybe quick words, hey, I missed my introduction. How about opposition? Now, I've heard you have a story about Kobe Bryant who knew who you were based on the way that you would announce him after scoring hoops.
Well, there's a couple of them. Kobe was one where he was up at G.I. Joe's. You remember G.I.
Yes.
Joe's? Up at Jansen Beach, up there, Hayden Island, G.I. Joe's. And he was just signing autographs one night. My son and I drove up there to get an autograph from Kobe Bryant. And my son's standing there, and Kobe grabs the poster or whatever that my son brought. And my son goes, "Well, my dad's the public address announcer." And so Kobe goes, "Oh, you're the guy."
Yeah.
And I go, "Oh, what do you mean you're the guy?" And he says, "Well, whenever I make a basket, you go, Kobe Bryant. But when LaMarcus makes a basket, you go, LaMarcus Aldridge."
Yeah. Kobe Bryant.
I said, "Wow, you noticed that?" And he goes, "Of course." I got, this guy knows. He probably knows every facet of the game. And the other guy, well, there's another one. Is Karl Malone.
Okay.
In a playoff game against Karl Malone in one of my first few years, we'd always play Utah, and there was he came to town and he said something like, "This is it. We're going to win. We don't have to stay overnight. I'm not even bringing my underwear," because this would have been the deciding game.
Okay.
We're not even bringing underwear. We're not changing.
Yeah.
So Scott Lynn, the sports director, and I hatched a plan. And I had listeners bring their underwear, washed, bring them to the radio station. And we got so many pair of underwear. We couldn't believe it. So now, how do we get this into the Utah locker room?
Yeah.
To Karl Malone, because it's kind of a little dig. And so Scott and I came up with a plan to put them inside pizza boxes. And we did that. We had about 9 pizza boxes. I don't know where we got them from, someplace in Moda Center. We put the underwear in the pizza boxes, put a note on it for Karl Malone, and Scott carried it into the visitor locker room. And Malone got it.
I love it.
And then so that night, as I'm introducing the Blazers, all of a sudden I'm going to now, at guard, Brandon Wright. All of a sudden, this big, huge hand, massive hand comes out from the darkness in front of me, puts it on my script and covers it up.
Oh, okay.
So I can't read it.
Yeah.
And I look up, and it's this grinning face of Karl Malone.
Oh, at least he's grinning.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah, no, he was grinning. He was laughing so hard. So basically he was saying, now get out of this one.
Yeah, see what you do about this.
And then the next game they came to town, it wasn't, it's because we won that game. So we had to play another game. I'm in the middle of the intros, and all of a sudden I feel this weird thing in my left ear, this wetness in my left ear. And it's Karl Malone who licked his finger and stuck it gave me a wet willy.
He did?
During the intro.
Oh, Karl.
Yeah. But I turned around and looked at him, and he went back to the bench. He was howling, laughing. Laughing. And I thought, that is so cool. That was great.
That is a great story.
Charles Barkley is another one who got mad at me because we had a lucky ball.
Okay.
At one time, there was one season where we had won 17, 18 home games in a row, 19, 20, 21. We had a ball that we used every game. We made sure that same ball was the ball we used.
Yeah.
Right? We just somehow get it into the game. And somebody drew a skull and crossbones on it.
That's
right
the
under
lucky
NBA.
game ball.
That was the lucky game ball. So that's how we knew what it was. I guess, I don't know, Karl Malone, heard about it or something, and he comes up to the scorer's table, and that's where we keep the ball before the game. And he said, "Let me see that ball." And then he has the ball, and he tucks it in under his arm. He reaches down to my pen right in front of me, grabs my pen, and starts stabbing the ball.
Oh no!
Yeah, he starts stabbing it, and it's a big pen, and the pen's shattering in his hand. It's just shattering, broken pen. And now he's so frustrated, man. The referee's standing there like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. Barkley's trying to pop the ball.
You can't pop the ball. And Barkley, throws the pen in my lap and, mutters something about the ball. And the referee goes, you go back to the bench.
I love it.
And play ball. We go on.
Oh,
I still have that pen.
What a great story. Yeah. It's the iconic voice of Moda Center. It's Mark Mason with us, joining us in studio. Now, before we let you go, something that is fascinating to me that I think is great, that maybe some of our younger listeners will know about. You are actually the voice of the Trailblazers in NBA 2K, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Tell us how that works.
That works, or once a year I go down for a day or two. Originally, I had to go down for 5 days.
Okay.
But you just go into a studio, just not unlike this one. You're seeing it on YouTube or whatever. You sit in front of a microphone, just like this one.
Yeah.
And you go through names, a lot of names.
Okay.
And you've got to do the names, 3 or 4 different ways.
Of Trailblazers and opposition, right?
Yeah, I'd have to say Scoot Henderson. and in my headphone, there'd be a little beep. That means they're ready for the next take.
Okay.
So Scoot Henderson, beep. Scoot Henderson.
Oh, wow.
Beep. Scoot Henderson. Yeah. And then you go through like 1,000 different names in the course of a day. I mean, your brain really gets fried doing it. But there's a certain cadence that's involved. And then you do, at the line. You don't do so-and-so at the line. You just say at the line. And then the computer stitches it all together.
Right.
So Scoot Henderson, at the line, shooting three.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So that's how it's all done.
Yeah. Again, you're reminding me of things that I noticed with my background too. Where did the Haunted Mansion free throw line shooting to?
If I can hit it on key, sometimes I nail it, man.
You do.
That's just one of those things. I gave the sound guy the Haunted Mansion.
Yep.
Music.
Yep.
Because the idea was to do it after a call that's kind of like,
kind of suspect call.
Yeah, suspect call. And they're going to shoot on that? Really? We're going to do that? Okay. training. And if you start it early enough, you get it just they're getting really good at it. We get it right down where shooting 2 is happening when the shooter's got the ball right in his hands. But again, I go, do they even notice? Doesn't matter. But you noticed.
I do.
Yeah.
I notice every time. Absolutely. All right. I know sometimes, before we let you go, sometimes you sneak down during long road trips and you watch your beloved 49ers. Are they going to be better this year?
No. No, they will not be better. I mean, they did well last year.
Yeah, they sure did.
Win 11 games.
Yeah.
Like I think they're, predicted to win 10 games, 10 and a half or something like that. I don't know, they have to win half a game, but if they're injury free, they'll do all right.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be fun to watch.
All right, Mace.
They're getting old, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I'm right in there with them. So absolutely.
Now, I talked to you a little bit about this at the beginning. Now, you've been here 30 years. That's probably 2,500 Blazers starting lineups. That's 5,000 if you count both teams. Are you just as excited as it gets a little closer to October as you are in season number 1?
Oh, yeah. As I said, every game is like the first game.
Like the first game. It could be that family that's never been to Moda Center before. They're going to hear you for the first time.
I just want to make sure that when they go home, the kid goes, Dad, that was so much fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And it is wild in there. It's really cool.
Oh, and a lot of that is because of you, Mark. And one of my favorite people, absolute icon to Trailblazer fans, Mark Mason. Thanks so much for your time today. Look forward to seeing you this upcoming season. Thanks for coming in with
pleasure.
With a numb lip from Novocaine today, and you came in studio.
It's still not there. I can't believe it. Oh, well.
Still not all the way there.
It's the F's that give me problem.
All right. Well, big thanks to Mark Mason.
Curtis, thank you.
Absolutely.
Chad's a slacker.
He's a total slacker for sure.
No, it is believable.
Yeah, that's believable. Who knows where he is right now? Big dropping off my youngest son at college. You would think I might take some of that time to dropping off my youngest son at college. You would think I might take some of that time to sit along the sidelines of a famous LA sporting venue, but I did not visit Crypto.com. But I did fulfill a lifelong dream and visit a certain home in the LA suburbs. And yes, the result still has me yelling.
Holy shnikes!
That's right. I'll tell you all about it next on your home of the Trailblazers, Rip City Radio 620. Mason here in studio. If you didn't hear that interview, we may get to parts of it a little bit later. Mason here in studio. If you didn't hear that interview, we may get to parts of it a little bit later on the show, or you can certainly check it out later when we get it posted a little bit later on. But thanks to Mark Mason for stopping by. We are talking most unforgettable moments in sports, those radio and TV calls that you either had the good fortune to see live or you watched it on television, you heard it on the radio. That was so unbelievable that all you could do was yell out,
"Holy shnikes."
That's right. Let's go out to Tony in Boring. He's got a moment that he remembers as well. Tony, lay it on me.
Hey, good afternoon, Curtis. Liking you filling in for Chad when he's gone.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
My greatest sports memory would have to be, April 23rd, 2011 at the Moda Center, then the Rose Garden, and Dallas Mavericks. So that was unbelievable, man. I get chills anytime I think about it, let alone every once in a while I'll just watch that fourth quarter highlight. Anytime you guys play, Wheels call,
yes.
Brandon, and he's my favorite Blazer. I'm an older Trailblazer fan. I'm in my 50s, but there's just something about that guy. I mean, I love Dame, but like Brandon's a guy. Clyde was awesome, but it's just something about that guy, man. That was an unbelievable sports moment.
That is a fun one.
Yeah, were you there for that one?
I remember for sure. Yeah, I was on hand when Brandon Roy made that miraculous comeback. And you say you've been a Blazer for a long time. You're in your 50s. Do you remember Kermit Washington as a Trailblazer?
Well, I do. Yeah, I have a fun little fact for you guys. My mother, back in the day, she had purchased a 1969 Corvette Stingray Silver, had very thin blue and yellow pinstriping on it, and bought it from, oh gosh, I slipped my mind, but he had bought it from Kermit Washington.
Oh, wow.
And, Calvinette. So Calvinette first owned it, and then, or Kermit owned it, and then she bought it from Calvinette.
All right. Well, we will
backwards.
We will have Kermit Washington on later in the show in the 5 o'clock hour, so make sure you stick around for that.
I will, and I was just wondering if you could maybe jog his memory and see if he remembers that beautiful silver 1970 Corvette that he used to own.
Silver 1970 Corvette. We'll try to remember to ask him about that. Thanks for the call, Tony.
All right. Thank you, Curtis.
There he goes. There goes Tony. 1 hour down, 2 to go here on this substitute teacher edition of the Rip City Drive. Curtis Long and Mike Shacker filling in for Chad. Coming up in the next hour, we'll hear more about your all-time favorite sports venues. We'll also go back to our opening segment. Holy shnikes sports moments. You'll never forget where you were when they happened. All that continues right here on your home of the Trailblazers, Rip City Radio 620. Just after 4 o'clock in the Rose City. Good afternoon, Portland. Well, if you're a parent, you understand that this update's kind of like the end of a classic Sesame Street episode. You know, always brought to you by certain letters.
Sesame Street has been brought to you today by the letters E and Z.
Well, our first three letters today, PGA. The PGA Tour announcing that future seasons will conclude with 2 weeks' worth of bracket-style match play to determine the season-long champion. The top 32 golfers will tee off against each other following the 2028 regular season. Another three letters leading to some distressing news out of the NFL. Those letters, CTE. A new study reveals that at least 1 in 4 former players who passed away between 2016 and 2021 showed signs of the degenerative brain disease. Finally, the WNBA is actually 4 letters, but if you're a fan of the team from PDX, the Fire returns to action tonight in Dallas. A loss in Big D would give Portland 3 straight L's. Well, thanks to Chad Doing, who is OUT, they let me, Curtis Long, sub in. Why? IDK, on your home of the Trailblazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into the Rip City Drive with Chad Doing, although no Chad Doing today. Curtis Long filling in. Thanks for all the great texts and the phone lines that are lighting up, all the callers, even some tweets as well. We're talking holy shnikes moments in sports. Those moments where you saw on TV, maybe live, but saw it on TV or the radio, listened on the radio, you just can't believe it. All you could say was, holy shnikes. We're talking about those. Now, I teased this a little bit before at the end of the first hour, and other people wanted to know some more about this. Let me just start with a little teaser right here.
Oh, no.
Mom's favorite vase.
She always says, don't play ball in the house.
Yeah, she sure did. Always said, don't play ball in the house. You heard it as we were coming back in. I know you might be thinking, come on, this is a sports radio show here on the Rip City Drive, and this fill-in clown is playing clips from the Brady Bunch. Okay, let me make the sports connection for you, although I didn't see why it's not so obvious to you, since Greg Brady once got pitching tips from Don Drysdale. Bobby Brady caught passes from Joe Namath. But otherwise, if you're not a fan of the Brady Bunch, hey, stick with me for a second.
Well, all I hear all day long at school is how great Marcia is at this, or how wonderful Marcia did that. Marcia, Marcia, Marcia.
Oh, well, from Bobby Brady to Tommy Callahan, we started the show talking about watching or listening to certain sporting events that for you were so unforgettable that you simply couldn't do anything but yell out loud.
Holy shnikes!
Well, I had a similar experience a couple of weeks ago that some Rip City Radio listeners continue to text me about and tweet me about at @principal_long. Now, it's a stretch to call it sports related, but bear with me. I'm in Los Angeles about 10 days ago after 2 of my 3 boys and I drove, that's right, 963 miles down I-5 in our rented Chevy Blazer. We dropped my son off for his first week of college at Occidental College. Today was the first day of class. Hopefully he had a great day. He's a freshman at Occidental, small college in Los Angeles. And as I mentioned before, the emotions, well, kind of dropping off my youngest son at college kind of hit me harder than I ever expected. I'm kind of a wreck, and I needed an uplift. So we're checked out of the hotel. My son is off now, officially as a college freshman. I'm looking for something to do to knock out some time before our flight leaves later that afternoon. Honestly, just put me in a better mood. And for those of you who know me pretty well, and I've talked about it on the air lots of time, I'm a huge fan of anything 1970s and 80s. You've heard me on this show many times before talking music with Chad. Usually it's from the 80s, but that could also be from the 70s. Chad and I both, of course, big yacht rock fans. So anything 70s or 80s, and of course that means
Pork chops and applesauce. Isn't that swell?
Isn't that swell? That's right. Lo and behold, what pops up on my Instagram feed? But there are actual tours available of the Brady Bunch home. Now, it's an actual real house in Southern California. Now, the trick is that up until only a few years ago, that house was only used for exterior shots. The inside didn't look anything like the TV show. In fact, it was a one-level home. So how are you supposed to have a staircase that leads upstairs in a one-level home? All the bedrooms and sets were on a soundstage. That is until HGTV bought the property. They completely renovated it. They had to actually dig down in the foundation to make it 2 levels, and they made it look exactly like the TV show. So what did I do? Well, you know what I did for sure.
Oh, no.
Mom's favorite vase.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw Mom's favorite vase because I toured the inside of the Brady Bunch home. And for a huge Brady Bunch fan like me, all I can say is,
Holy shnikes!
oh my gosh, you can see pictures on my social media accounts on Instagram and on X at @principal_long. That's where you can see me in all areas of the home, from the iconic staircase to the orange Formica in the kitchen to the bunk beds in the boys' bedroom. And it was like a dream come true for me.
What'd you do?
Well, I'll tell you what I did, Tommy Callahan. I went all over the place. I was filming video, and there are so many little Easter eggs hidden throughout that house. If you're a fan of the show, you'd know a lot of them. There's lots of drawings, newspaper articles, everything that refers to the actual show. So I've had quite the summer now. I saw the Brady home in person. After in July, I took a trip to the friendly confines of Wrigley Field with my brother, which he had never seen before. Also a childhood dream of mine, since I grew up with Harry Carey and Steve Stone calling games on WGN TV.
Holy shnikes!
I know what the big deal about Cracker Jack is. Did you ever go and buy a pack of Cracker Jack thinking you're going to get a prize and find no prize in the box? Here's the pitch. That might not sound important to some people, but when you're a little kid, especially from a humble origin, and they cheat you out of a prize. There's a bouncing ball. Second baseman has the Barbary over to first.
Yeah, poor Harry Carey. He didn't even get his prize in his Cracker Jacks, but that's what I grew up with, and perhaps a lot of you did too, growing up on WGN. Harry Carey and Steve Stone and the Chicago Cubs, who finally won that championship in 2016, but I went through 84 and 89 as a big Cubs fan. That got me thinking here on the Rip City Drive, do you have a certain stadium or arena that would be a moment if you visited it in person? Or maybe it's already happened. Which venue would be your ultimate spot to watch a sporting event? 503-248-0620. You can also text the show at 88528. You could also go the entertainment route like I did. Do you have a specific movie or television set that it would be a dream come true for you to visit? I want to hear about it. You can call us here, 503-248-0620. The phones have been outstanding so far. You can also text the show at 88528. Lots of great texts coming in as well. I appreciate all of those. Now, ESPN had listed some of their iconic venues. They listed Augusta National, Cameron Indoor Stadium, Churchill Downs. I've never been to a horse race of that magnitude. Fenway Park, I would love to go to someday. I've never been there. Lambeau Field for those Packer backers in the Portland area. Madison Square Garden, I've seen the outside of that, never been in it. The Rose Bowl, yes, I've been there as an Oregon graduate and a Duck fan for sure. I've been to the Rose Bowl, seen them play a couple of times in the Rose Bowl. Wrigley Field is also listed. How about for you? If you could visit any sports venue, either for the first time or revisit again, which would leave you saying...
I swear I've seen a lot of stuff in my life, but that was awesome.
It sure was. Make sure you give a call here, right here at Rip City Radio, 503-248-0620. Now, I made a list of my favorite unforgettable sports calls. We started with those, dug deep into the audio vaults. I'll share mine throughout the show, and even though I've heard them hundreds of times, I guarantee I'm still going to be yelling. And here are some of my favorites that I've come up with. How about October 14th, 1985? Now, you might be thinking, as a Cubs fan, how could dare he play a St. Louis Cardinal highlight? Well, this is an iconic one from 1985. Ozzie Smith's walk-off home run off Tom Niedenfuhr of the Dodgers in Game 5, 85 NLCS. Here's Jack Buck on the call.
Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game by the score of 3-2 on a home run by the Wizard.
A home run by the Wizard. It's always fun to hear Ozzie Smith. He talks about that, and he knows that call word for word. He can recite Jack Buck's call of that. So a big moment in sports. I remember watching that. I could not believe it as a young kid that Ozzie Smith, who I think they said right before his at-bat, he hasn't hit a home run left-handed forever. And sure enough, he corks one there off of the Dodgers' Tom Niedenfuhr. How about way back? Now, I was too young to remember this, but I've heard this call before. The great Howard Cosell, in a bout between Joe Frazier and George Foreman. Now, for those of you that are a little bit older, you may know this call. If you're a sports historian, you know this call. An iconic boxing call by the one and only Howard Cosell.
And we'll find out tonight just how good George Foreman is in punching and in taking a punch. I think he hurt Joe Frazier. I think Joe is hurt. Angie Dundee, Ali's trainer, right next to me, is saying it. You may hear him. Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! The heavyweight champion is taking the mandatory 8 count, And Foreman is as poised as can be in a neutral corner. He is as poised as can be. We have a minute left in this first round, and already this fight is proving out what some have expected.
Down goes Frazier. Just 3 words, but Cosell said them over and over. That was January 22nd, 1973. Let's get to one more iconic call. This is one I was introduced to by radio play-by-play voice of the Trailblazers, Travis Demers, who grew up in New York. And, of course, New York, a big sports town, of course, but they have 2 hockey teams. They have the Rangers and the Islanders. Now, this one gave the Rangers a huge victory, and it was Stéphane Matteau who scored the game-winning goal. Now, I can't pretend to be a big hockey fan, but if you listen to this call, I can see why it's so iconic and why Travis refers to it quite often.
Keesoff for the Devils, plays it cross ice into the far corner. Matteau swoops in to intercept. Matteau behind the net, swings it in front. He scores! Matteau! 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 Stéphane Matteau! And the Rangers have one more hill to climb, baby! But it's Mount Vancouver! The Rangers are headed to the final!
The Rangers are headed to the title. That's how he rose. Matteau! 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 1994 was that call. And I'm going to get to one more before we head off to the break. This is for Raider Mike, who I know is probably listening, and all the other Raider fans in the Portland area. 1978, they call it the Holy Roller. It's one of my favorite calls by announcer Billy King because of what he says at the end about John Madden. So listen to the play. Listen to the very end of how it's described. So it's a miracle fumble recovery, and listen to the very, very end. Here we go.
The crowd takes up a chant of defense. Robisky and Banaszak are the backs. Slot right. Branch inside. Bradshaw. Stabler back. Here comes the rush. He sidesteps. Can he throw? He can't. The ball flipped forward is loose. A wild scramble. 2 seconds on the clock. Casper grabbing the ball. It is ruled a fumble. Casper has recovered in the end zone. The Oakland Raiders have scored on the most zany, unbelievable, absolutely impossible dream of a play. Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real. They said yes. Get your big butt out of here. He does. There's nothing real in the world anymore. The Raiders won the football game.
Get your big butt out of here, John Madden. They can't believe it's real. It was. They call that the Holy Roller. One of my favorite calls. We got lots more of those coming up in the next segment as well, where we'll get to the Miracle on Ice and all of your phone calls as well. Some of you have requested a few. We'll see if we can get to those. Listening to some radio calls that leave you saying... Listening to some radio calls that leave you saying...
Holy shnikes!
That's right. Holy shnikes. Those are coming up next right here on your home of the Trailblazers. It's Rip City Radio 620.
Let's take a roll here. Jay Quellen. Where's Jay Quellen at? No Jay Quellen here? Yeah.
Hey, okay, then. I've got my eye on you, Jay Quellen.
I got my eye on you, too.
Play. Okay, then. I've got my eye on you, Jay Quellen.
I got my eye on you, too, Jay Quellen. Substitute teacher still here at the front of the classroom here on the Rip City Drive. Of course, normally with Chad doing, but he's off today. Curtis Long filling in without any lesson plans, but hey, no lesson plans needed when you've got these great callers and tweeters and texters coming in to the Rip City Drive. We started the show asking about moments in sports that you either had the good fortune to see live or you watched on television or heard on the radio that were so unbelievable that all you could do was yell out.
Holy shnikes!
Yeah, you can tweet them directly to me at Principal_Long, or phone lines are open right now.
2, 4, 9er, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I can't hear you. You're trailing off. And did I catch a niner in there?
Yeah, I think you did. No, it's 503-248-0620. Now, I've made a list of my favorite unforgettable sports calls and have dug deep into the audio vaults. I'll share mine throughout the show and especially in the next 20 minutes or so. Even though I've heard them hundreds of times, I guarantee I'm still going to be yelling.
Holy shnikes!
Let's go to the text board, and this is a great one here. How about this one from the 360? How about a high school basketball game that after 3 quarters, it was tied 42-42 through the 4th quarter and 4 overtimes, which is the exact equivalent of how many minutes it played up until. Till that point, no points were ever scored except for the very last possession in the 4th overtime. Remember, it was tied 42-42 after 3. It was still 42-42 at the end of the game. In 4 overtimes, the final score, 44-42. That's an unbelievable one from the 360. I thought that was really good. Excellent stuff there. And then tweeted at me at Principal_Long. This one from Comanche Rip City. I can't remember if it's 91 or 92 when the Blazers played Seattle at the Kingdome and were down 20+. I remember my mom saying, the Blazers will win. And sure enough, they came back and won. I remember TP throwing his fists in the air and dapping a fan when they tried to take the lead, when they tied it and took the lead. Printed memory in my brain just when I remembered the actual year. Wish I remembered the actual year. I was either 11 or 12. Remember the I-5 rivalry? How great will that be when that finally comes back? We can get Blazers, Sonics once again, just up I-5. A lot of Blazer maniacs make that trip north on I-5 to watch these Blazers and Sonics play up north in Seattle. That'll be great when that finally comes back. Great job by all of our texters and tweeters. You can also reach us on the phone lines, 503-248-0620. Having a lot of fun here with Chad off today. We're going holy shnikey phone calls and holy shnikey calls on the radio or maybe calls on TV. You can't believe what just happened. Now, here's one that I know a lot of people know about. In 1986, the Boston Red Sox were on the verge of their first world title in nearly a century. But there was a guy named Bill Buckner playing first base for the Mets. And I'm sure you've heard this before. Take a listen.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
Now, you would have thought there that the Mets won the whole World Series. There still had to be another game played, and the Mets ended up winning that one, won the series. And Bill Buckner was pretty much banished out of Boston until the Sox came back to win their first World Series later on. And now Buckner is once again welcomed at Fenway Park. So that's a good one there. How about another baseball one? So how many of you are Braves fans? I mentioned that I grew up on WGN with Harry Carey and Steve Stone. How many of you grew up also on WTBS Superstation? They always showed Atlanta Braves games with Skip Carey, Pete Van Wieren. Well, this wasn't Skip Carey and Pete Van Wieren, but a famous Brave highlight from 1992, a name that you only hear during this highlight, probably never heard of again unless you're a Braves fan or a fan of baseball. Listen to what happened in this 1992 NLCS playoff game.
Francisco Cabrera comes to the plate to bat for the pitcher. He hacked at the 2-0, now the 2-1. Line drive and a base hit! Just as the score of the tying run. Green to the plate. And he is safe! Safe at the plate! The Braves go to the World Series. The unlikeliest of heroes wins the National League Championship Series for the Atlanta Braves. Francisco Cabrera And Atlanta pulls out Game 7 with 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning.
3 runs in the bottom of the 9th. They were trailing 2-0 heading into that bottom of the 9th. That was Game 7 of the 92 NLCS. The Pirates were just 3 outs away from a World Series. The Braves cut into that lead, made it 2-1 with 2 outs. Runners at second and third, and little used Francisco Cabrera at the plate. Line drive and a base hit. Gosh, I love those calls. I just love radio calls. It's one of my favorites. It's why I love sitting next to Travis Demers at Portland Trailblazer games. Radio is such a great medium, and all of you know that too. That's why you're listening right now. How about another baseball one? We'll get to some other sports as well, but how about a World Series clinching walk-off home run? Doesn't happen very often. It happened for Bill Mazeroski, and then it happened again in 1993.
Joe has had his moments. 2 balls and 2 strikes on it. Here's the pitch on the way. A swing and a belt. Left field. Way back. Blue Jays win it. The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run in the 9th inning, and the Blue Jays have repeated as World Series champions. Touch 'em all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
Iconic call there. Touch 'em all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger one in your life. I love that one. So we've had 3 baseball ones. If you have one as well that are so unbelievable, unforgettable for you, please make sure you give us a call, 503-248-0620. Text us, the text line blowing up at 88528. You can also tweet them at me at Principal_long. We've had a few baseball ones. How about a little college basketball now? You may remember this one. How about 2016? No criticism of the 2016 national title game. There had been some blowouts before that, but not this one. 2016 came down to the final shot for Villanova.
They go length of the court with RipCityDrive. 3 seconds at midcourt. Jenkins gives it to Jenkins for the championship. The national champions with Jenkins hitting the winner at the buzzer. Jim, they're going to check it. I thought it was good live, but how about those onions? A counter. Double order, sauteed, if it's good. Well, they're going to check the clock. If there's any time, and boy, they've got a problem on their hands if they do, because the streamers, the confetti, they would have to clear it out. Watch this. And the recognition of Arch finding Jenkins. Miscommunication by North Carolina. It's out. It's good. It's all the way. How about that? The officials on the far side have already walked away now after seeing it. A national championship buzzer beater for the title.
How about those onions? A double order, sauteed. Chris Jenkins with the winner for the Villanova Wildcats. They were tied at 74. The Wildcats, of course, raced the ball up court. Ryan Arcidiacono, former Trailblazer at one time, found Chris Jenkins for that open look for the game-winning 3. Fantastic. Jim Nantz, of course, on the call with Grant Hill and Bill Raftery with the onions, of course. How about this one? Did you think a rivalry game, could end on a missed field goal? Yeah, I didn't think so either until 2013, the Iron Bowl between Auburn and Alabama. 109 yards for a winning touchdown. Here's how it sounded.
On the way. No, returned by Chris Davis. Davis goes left. Davis gets a block. Davis has another block. Chris Davis. No flags. Touchdown.
And listen to that crowd in the background. The Iron Bowl. Auburn defeats Alabama on 109 yards on a missed field goal that was fielded by Chris Davis. He took it the length of the field plus some. That was 2013. I remember where I was. I was announcing a high school football game at Providence Park. They had that on up in the corner on a little monitor, and we could not believe what we were watching. Did that actually count? It did. Auburn won that game. Unbelievable. There's been a lot in college football. Perhaps you have some. 503-248-0620. We've had some right in Oregon for sure. Both the Beavers and the Ducks have had some fantastic finishes. Now we're going to go back a little bit to this one from way back in the 80s. Perhaps you've heard of Doug Flutie. I remember he subbed in with the Bears as a quarterback for them. But in Boston College, he was the college quarterback and a very famous Hail Mary. Here's what it sounded like.
Here's your ball game, folks, as Flutie takes the snap. He drops straight back, has some time. Now he scrambles away from one hit. Looks, uncorks a deep one for the end zone. Phelan is down there.
Oh, he got it!
He got it!
He got it!
Touchdown! 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 Touchdown, Boston College! He did it! He did it! Flutie did it! He got Phelan in the end zone! Touchdown!
I don't believe.
His roommate, Gerald Phelan, caught that ball in the end zone. Miami and Boston College have been involved in an epic game that saw the lead change multiple times. Seconds left on the clock, 45-41 deficit. Flutie snapped the ball from his own 48-yard line and just chucked it down the field. If you've seen that highlight before, one of the most accurate throws of desperation ever. The ball landed safely in the hands of Gerald Phelan. Game over. Boston College win. This from the 360 as well. Kirk Gibson's home run felt like a World Series winner, didn't it, when he hit that home run? I think Joe Buck was sorry. Jack Buck was on the call. My, oh my, I don't believe what I just saw, or something like that. I know what you're on to here on the text line. Anyway, it was phenomenal. Loved it. And from the golf, the Masters, Vern Lundquist on Tiger's putt. Yeah, when Tiger is pointing at that putt going into the hole. You mentioned Kirk Gibson. Let's see if we can find that one. We do have that one. So this one, a request from the text line. I feel like Casey Kasem. Here is your long-distance dedication.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable! A home run for Gibson. I don't believe what I just saw. I don't believe what I just saw.
Yeah, remember, that was only game one. Then Kirk Gibson wasn't going to play. All of a sudden, he was taking batting practice down in the tunnel underneath. I remember Oral Hershiser saying, I couldn't believe that was Gibby. He couldn't barely stand up, and he was going to go up to bat, and he thought maybe Tommy Lasorda was crazy for sending it up there. And remember, he kept fouling pitch after pitch after pitch off of Dennis Eckersley, and finally uncorked that one into right field. An unbelievable, fantastic finish. That was 1988. Tommy Lasorda certainly rolled the dice on that one. And we don't have, that's the Jack Buck call from the radio. We don't have the TV call where Vin Scully says, in a season that was so improbable, the impossible has happened. It certainly was a historic ending to game one. That was the 1988 World Series. The shock sent the A's reeling, and the Dodgers would eventually win, of course. Now, we had one fantastic finish in college basketball. Let's go to a couple others. How about this one way back in 1987? Remember a guy named Keith Smart for Indiana, the Hoosiers? Now, they are the national football champions, but back in the 80s, they were certainly a basketball school with Bobby Knight coaching them. And Keith Smart came up with a huge shot in 1987.
Smart takes the shot, and the Hoosiers with 3 seconds. Go ahead.
Nobody stopped the clock. Nobody stopped the clock.
But the clock did stop at the 1 second mark. Syracuse with a timeout. Keith Smart, with 17 points in the second half, has moved the Hoosiers to within 1 second of a national championship.
Very similar to Michael Jordan's shot in the 1982 finals. Keith Smart, he didn't go on to as much prolificness in the NBA as Michael Jordan did, for sure. Of course, another one who didn't have a great NBA career, I do think he was an all-star at least once, Christian Laettner, who has not heard this highlight before, and it never seems to get old.
Bobby Hurley up the floor with Laettner. They throw it the length of the floor. Laettner catches, comes down, dribbles, shoots, scores! Christian Laettner has hit the bucket at the buzzer. The Blue Devils win it, 104-103.
Have you seen that documentary, I Hate Christian Laettner, that 30 for 30? It's pretty funny, and they go through all those different things and why people don't care for Duke and Bobby Hurley. And they actually had a camera on a Kentucky fan who was watching that game after their player had banked in an impossible shot to take the lead. And he was so excited in his living room, jumping up and down, thinking, we're going to beat him, we're going to beat him. And then they keep the camera on him and they show that play. And he actually throws things at the TV. He can't believe that they lost. I'm sure Kentucky still cannot believe that they lost that game in 1992. Fantastic game. Another miracle finish. Let's go to NFL football. And for those of you that have been following for a while, you may remember the Tennessee Titans took out the Buffalo Bills in a 2000 wildcard game. This was at the very, very end of the game. The Bills kicked a field goal, giving them a 16-15 lead with only 14 seconds remaining. Well, there's no way the Titans can come back from that. So Buffalo kicks off. Listen what happens.
Going to be fielded by Lorenzo Neal at the 25. Pitches it back to Wycheck. He throws it across the field to Dyson.
He's got something.
30,
He's
40,
got something.
50.
He's got it.
40.
He's got it.
20. 10.
He's got it.
End zone. Touchdown Titans. There are no flags on the field. It's a miracle. Tennessee has pulled a miracle.
Yeah, unbelievable. That was the Lorenzo Neal received the kick. Neal handed the ball off to Titans tight end Frank Wycheck, who threw a lateral across the field to Dyson. You heard that, then ran down the sidelines for a 75-yard touchdown. The Bills were in an uproar. They thought the lateral went forward, making it illegal. The lateral has since been reviewed by NFL Films and has shown that the correct call was made. The pass never made its way forward. It was a legal lateral. Unbelievable on that finish as well. Remember, you can text in yours at 88528. Give us a call, 503-248-0620. As we get toward the end of this segment, of course, we've mentioned this one before throughout the times that I have filled in for Chad. This is another miracle one. This one from 1980 and Olympic hockey. This really put America back in the spotlight. Some down times for America, the Cold War raging on, and the Americans faced off against the Soviet Union in the U.S. in the Olympic hockey match. And here's how it sounded.
10 seconds. You've got 10 seconds. The countdown going on right now. Morrow up to Silk. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
Yeah, Al Michaels, Ken Dryden on the call. Unbelievable. Another fantastic finish. That was 1980, just 5 years before. Remember, we mentioned the Red Sox once before. They got the benefit of a Bill Buckner error. They've also had their share of good fortune. If you've seen the movie Good Will Hunting, they reference this play in the movie between Robin Williams and, why can't I think of his name right now? Well, the main character in Good Will Hunting between Matt Damon. Gosh, couldn't think of his name. Matt Damon and Robin Williams are discussing this very play. Robin Williams says he could have been there to see this. He didn't go, but he missed this play.
There it goes, a long drive. If it stays fair, home run. We will have a 7th game in this 1975 World Series. Carlton Fisk becomes the first player in the series to hit one over the wall into the net. Red Sox win it 7-6 in 12 innings. And Carlton Fisk had a lot of little boy in him right there, Joe.
He took one step, knew it was going to be close. He knew it was gone, and it was dancing in the streets all the way around.
Yeah, I love hearing Joe Garagiola on the call as well, along with Dick Stockton. The Red Sox, well, people thought they didn't have a chance against the Reds in 1975, but instead of rolling over and cowering to the finish, Boston pushed Cincinnati to a dramatic 7-game finish. That iconic moment happened in the 9th. That was Game 6. The Red Sox were all tied up, needed a big hit to go over the Reds that had been hitting home runs all game. Fisk, the team leader, came to bat trying to get a hit in the gap so he could get into scoring position. Instead, he hit one of the most famous home runs and most beloved in Sox lore as the ball sailed toward the left field pole. Fisk leaped into the fair, and the Red Sox did eventually lose to the Reds, though, in 1970. Stay fair, and the Red Sox did eventually lose to the Reds, though, in 1975. We continue with these highlights. I love playing them for you. I love the suggestions coming in on the text line, 88528. Give us a call, 503-248-0620. Up next, you know I like to play this every time I fill in. You can call in as well if you'd like to be a contestant on our 70s Game Show of the Week, a little Family Feud coming up next right here on your home of the Trailblazers, Rip City Radio 620.
Name something that follows the word pork.
You pine.
Huh?
Something that follows the word pork. You pine. Yeah, good answer there.
Name something that follows the word pork.
You pine.
Huh?
I like Steve Harvey's reaction, huh? Welcome back into the Rip City Drive with Chad Doing. Only there is no Chad Doing. He's off today. Once again, leaving the show to me, Curtis Long, filling in for my good friend. Well, for those of you who know me, you know I am a child of the 70s and 80s, so I figured how much fun would it be to be Richard Dawson and host the 1970s version of Family Feud right here on the radio. If you want to play along, give us a call right now, 503-248-0620, or you can text along in this game as well. Get ready, 88528. Let's get our 70s game show of the week ready to go.
It's the 1970s. Time to take the nachos out of the Easy Bake Oven, turn on the lava lamp, crank up ABBA, and slide into your favorite pair of hot pants. It's time for the 70s Game Show of the Week with Curtis Long. Now, here's Curtis.
All right, let's get this going. All right, Shacker. According to the Sports History Group online, in a list published just a few weeks ago, these are the top 8 sportscasters of all times. Now, I know this can be opinionated, but this is the top 8 listed. Now, a great game can happen without a great call, but it rarely lives the same way afterward. The play happens once. The voice carries it forever. A home run, a miracle, a knockout, a buzzer beater, a touchdown, a perfect game, a final out, a gold medal, a championship moment. All of it becomes easier to remember when the right announcer finds the right words at the exact second history needs them. Fans may forget what inning it was, what quarter it was, or what the exact score was, but they remember the call. Top 8 answers are on the board. All right, Michael Shacker, who do you think is one of the top 8 sportscasters
Is this
of all
all
time?
national broadcasters?
All national, yeah,
TV,
good question.
radio?
Could be TV or radio, good question. Yep.
All right, number 1, John Madden.
Number 1 is John Madden. Let's see if John Madden is on the board.
Survey said.
He is on the board. John Madden himself. Let's get to him.
You think you got him tackled? I mean, that's by keeping your feet going and making Sanders move. Some of those moves, there's only one guy in this game that makes, and you just saw that guy.
John Madden actually listed at number 2 all time, according to this list of greatest sportscasters of all time. Any other guesses for you, Michael Shacker?
Bob Costas.
Bob Costas, is he on the board?
Survey said.
Yes, he is on the board. Bob Costas is here as well.
Malone is doubled. They swat at it and steal it. Here comes Chicago. 17 seconds. 17 seconds from Game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan. Open. Chicago with the lead.
There's Bob Costas there. He comes in at number 8. So far, Michael Shacker has number 2 and number 8. Costas, of course, can host, interview, call games, narrate essays, handle Olympic coverage, move between sports with ease. Bob Costas comes in at number 8. So you've got number 2 and number 8 so far. All right, Shacker. Any others you have a guess for?
There's people that are professional broadcasters, and
Yes.
those are the professional athletes that become broadcasters.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to have to go with the professional athlete that became a broadcaster.
Yes.
Is Tony Romo on that list?
Tony Romo, is he listed as one of the best sportscasters of all time in the top 8?
Survey said.
Unfortunately, no. Tony Romo is not on there, and he's got a big laugh across the glass there. He did have a few great years. You've only got 1 strike so far. We've got 2 and number 8 off the board.
Okay.
We have heard some of these already throughout the show.
Well, there's one I'm worried is going to be on the list.
Okay.
Joe Buck.
Joe Buck. You're worried about Joe Buck being on, so you don't think Joe Buck should be on there.
I want you to give me another
Joe
X.
Buck should not be on the list. Is he one of the top 8 sportscasters of all time, according to this poll?
Survey said.
No, he is not on there. You
That was
now have
great
2
news.
strikes. Yeah, you have 2 strikes
He didn't
so
make
far.
the top 8.
He did
Okay.
not make the top 8. So we have number 2 and number 8 off the board.
How many more years till Travis Demers is on that
Travis
list?
Demers should be on there. We'll just
In the
give him one
future.
right here.
Survey said.
Yeah, we'll give Travis Demers.
Yeah.
He's not listed on there, but we're going to give him
Well, I'm
an
looking ahead.
honorary.
I'm looking
That's
ahead.
right.
I'm
we're
finding
looking
these
ahead.
things
When
out.
we're doing the Rip City Drive 20 years from now, we'll put him on there for sure. What do you think? Any others? We've heard a couple of them, at least 1, 2, 3 of them. We've heard
Okay.
from them before.
Chris Berman.
Chris Berman, one of the top 8 of all time.
Survey said.
No, not listed on here in the top 8. So, unfortunately, Michael Shacker has struck out. If any of you would like to steal the board from him, 503-248-0620 or the text line 88528. Great job on the text line, by the way. They are streaming in there. We'd love to hear your guesses. So Michael Shacker got number 8. That was Bob Costas. He got number 2 in John Madden, according to this poll. So number 7 all time. Let's go right here.
Danielson looking outside. He throws. Picked off by Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor down the sideline. Don't think he can't run. Lawrence Taylor's going to go and burn them all. 97-yard touchdown interception by Lawrence Taylor.
Apologize for the recording there. It was a little hissy, but that's Pat Summerall. In an era when many broadcasters filled space with noise, Summerall understood the power of saying less. His voice was deep, calm, and economical. He didn't need to scream to make a moment feel important. He trusted the game. Okay, we've got some texters coming in. One texter says, how about Harry Carey? Oh, my goodness. Harry Carey is certainly in my top 8. Did he make this top 8 that came from, let me get the source again. This came from the website Sports History Group Online. They made a list just a couple of weeks ago. Harry Carey, is he on the list?
Survey said.
No, they did not list Harry Carey. Also guess of Kurt Gowdy. Pat Summerall has come in on the text line. Here's another one from the text line, and they say this person right here.
Candy Maldonado with the hesitation, allowing
Not
Jose
him.
Canseco to score, and
That's
he
Tim
fails
McCarver.
to get Dave Parker at second base. So the Oakland A's take.
I'll tell you what, we're having an earth. I don't know if we're on the air or not, and I'm not sure I care in this particular moment, but we are. Well, folks, that's the greatest open in the history of television, bar none.
And, of course, Al Michaels is listed at number 3. That's a great one there. Let's go to Steven in West Lynn. He's joined our 70s Game Show of the Week. Go right ahead, Steven.
Hey, how's it going? I'm going to go with Vin Scully.
Vin Scully. I think that's a great guess. Let's see.
Survey said.
That's right. Vin Scully right here is actually listed. Let's see. Let's get him.
But the game right now is at the plate.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone.
Yeah, Vin Scully, number 1. Nice job, Steven. You got any others?
Marv Albert.
Marv Albert on the board. Is he one of ours?
Survey said.
Nice job. Marv Albert is listed as number 5. Nice work. Let's hear from him before we hit the break. Marv Albert listed at number 5. Pat in Portland, hang on. We'll get to you right after the break. You can hear the music in my ears. We'll get to you next as the 70s Game Show of the Week continues after the break right here on Rip City Radio 620. It is just after 5 o'clock in the Rose City. Good afternoon, Portland. If you're a parent, you understand that this update is kind of like the end of a classic Sesame Street episode. You know, always brought to you by certain letters.
Sesame Street has been brought to you today by the letters E and Z.
Yeah, and our first three letters today, how about PGA? The PGA Tour announcing that future seasons will conclude with 2 weeks' worth of bracket-style match play to determine the season-long champion. The top 32 golfers will tee off against each other following the 2028 regular season. Another three letters leading to some distressing news out of the NFL. Those letters, CTE. A new study reveals that at least 1 in 4 former players who passed away between 2016 and 2021 showed signs of the degenerative brain disease. Finally, the WNBA is actually 4 letters, but if you're a fan of the team from PDX, the Fire returns to action tonight in Dallas. A loss in Big D, though, would give Portland 3 straight L's. Well, thanks to Chad Dewing, who was OUT, they've let me, Curtis Long, sub in. Why? Hi, DK. On your home of the Trailblazers, Rip City Radio 620. And welcome back into the final hour of the Rip City Drive. Curtis Long filling in for Chad Dewing. Special interview coming up in about 20 minutes from now. Former Trailblazer and NBA All-Star Kermit Washington set to join the program. If you follow him on social media, he's doing some great things and does tell some great stories on social media. Also doing everything he can to help out another former Trailblazer legend right now from the early 80s who has fallen on some tough times. We'll talk all about that coming up. Now, when we left the last hour, we were still in the middle of our 70s game show of the week. According to the Sports History Group online, a list just published a few weeks ago. These are the top 8 sportscasters of all time. Now, here are the ones that have come off the board thanks to our texters, and Michael Shacker got a couple of them. Vin Scully is off the board at number 1. John Madden ranked as number 2. Al Michaels, number 3. Number 4, we have not gotten yet. We have heard from him, though, in this show. Number 5, we got just at the break. That was Marv Albert, ranked 5th. 6th, we have not gotten yet, and he's one that's very synonymous with college football. 7, we got. That was Pat Summerall. And 8, Michael Shacker got. That was Bob Costas. So we are missing number 6. And number 4, let's go out to Pat in Portland. He wants to be a contestant on the Rip City Drive Family Feud. All right, Pat, who do you think is one of the top 8 greatest sportscasters of all time?
Well, I've got fond memories of growing up watching sports, with my dad as a kid, and his favorites were football and boxing.
Okay.
So given that, I got to throw out Howard Cosell.
Oh, my goodness. Let's go. Is Howard Cosell on the board?
Survey said.
He sure is. Howard Cosell. Of course, this iconic moment from Monday Night Football.
John Lennon, outside of his apartment building on the west side of New York City. The most famous, perhaps, of all of the Beatles. Shot twice in the back. Rushed to Roosevelt Hospital. Dead on arrival.
Yeah, I remember where I was when I heard that, watching Monday Night Football. Howard Cosell, an iconic voice for sure. Pat, that's a great one. We only got one left, and he's synonymous with college football. Do you think maybe you know who that is?
I have a guess.
Okay.
Maybe one of my favorites.
All right, let's see.
Nance.
Jim Nance, is he on the board as to fill out our bracket? Let's see. Not Jim Nance. But I'm going to give you a hint. Whoa, Nelly. Who is that? Who is that? Well, let's listen in.
7-point ASU lead. Pass is down the middle, caught by Justin Field, the big tight end, rumbling along, 15, 10, 9. First and goal, Oregon at the Arizona State 9-yard line.
How about Keith Jackson, the voice of college football? He fills out the top 8 at number 6. Nice job by all of our callers. Thanks to Pat for getting Howard Cosell off the board. Nice job by Michael Shacker clearing a few of them.
Can I guess who's number 9? Would it be Gorilla Monsoon?
I don't think Gorilla Monsoon. Let's see.
Survey said.
No, not Gorilla Monsoon. I don't have number 9 up here, but to recap for you, Vin Scully at number 1, John Madden 2, Al Michaels 3, Howard Cosell 4, Marv Albert 5, Keith Jackson 6, Pat Summerall 7, and Bob Costas at number 8. Great job by everyone. I'm looking at some of the texts, and we've got lots of good guesses coming in. Kurt Gowdy was guest. That's a good one. Dick Enberg, Jack Buck, Dick Vitale, Brian Wheeler. Got to give Wheels his flowers always. That from the 360. That's a great one. Brent Musburger was not on our list. That would have been a good one, too. See, the texters and the callers and the listeners of the Rip City Drive, I tell Chad this all the time. They are fantastic, and they know sports. They know when to call in. They've got great insights. I always love filling in on this show because of you, the listeners. And let's go back to what we started at the beginning of the show. As I said, honored to be sitting in this chair for another afternoon here, and it is starting out the window. I can see the traffic starting to build up. We are right at the intersection of I-5 and Highway 217. If you're a fan of fantastic finishes in sports, and your passionate reaction to those kind of highlights has your friends and family asking, in true Tommy Boy fashion, what is wrong with you? Did you eat paint chips as a child? Did you?
Did you eat a lot of paint chips when you were a kid? Why?
Yeah, why? Well, then this is going to be the next hour for you for sure. The next hour, we'll play some more unforgettable plays from not only so far in 2026, but how about from previous years as well? Games that in the past maybe suddenly lowered your favorite football college team's postseason bowl expectations to those signed with the John Hancock of maybe lower-tiered bowls.
John Hancock. It's Herbie Hancock.
Of course. Yeah, that's right, Tommy Callahan. And you won't have to wait hours in the car or in airport checkout lines during these final summer travel weeks to relive heart-stopping sports moments from all sports that at one time had you screaming at your TVs or radios, or finally, after the game's final horn, had you breathing one collective sigh of relief and simply saying,
"Whoa, that was close."
Absolutely. Yeah, on this sunny Tuesday, we're going with a Tommy Boy edition of the Rip City Drive, and it's a perfect fit.
Hey, does this suit make me look fat?
No. Your face does.
No, your face does. And you have to admit, even if you're a fan of the great Chris Farley like I am, you can't deny that he created some classic lines that are still used today. Whether it was as a motivational speaker, Matt Foley, yeah, you know where he lived for sure.
And I live in a van down by the river.
Yeah, or, of course, Tommy Boy's classic line himself.
Holy shnikes.
That's right, which leads to our topic this afternoon, and you guys have been great so far. What are some moments in sports that are, for you, so unbelievable, so unforgettable, so incredible, that when you either watch them live or on television or even listen to them on the radio, all you could do is scream at the top of your lungs.
Holy shnikes.
I can't believe that happened. Do you remember where you were when some of those radio or television calls totally shocked you? And you will never, ever forget them. No matter when you hear them, it's immediately
holy shnikes.
And shout out to the texter who called this one.
Batum throws to Lillard. A 3 for the game.
Boom! That boy is special.
You gotta pinch me. I must be dreaming.
I'll pinch you, says Antonio Harvey. He probably did, too, pinch Brian Wheeler. But we had a texter come in with Brian Wheeler as one of the great broadcasters of all time, sports broadcasters. Got to agree with that. We certainly miss Wheels for sure. Now, somebody also called in, what about the Miracle on Ice? Yeah, we'll get to that one. Yeah, that is certainly one of my favorites. I'll share mine throughout the next few minutes as well before we get to Kermit Washington. And come on, is there really any better way to spend an afternoon on an otherwise uneventful August summer day?
We don't take no for an answer.
Oh, yeah. We don't take no for an answer.
That's right. We don't. You can tweet them directly to me at Principal_Long, or phone lines are, of course, open right now.
2, 4, 9er, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I can't hear you. You're trailing off. And did I catch a niner in there?
Yeah, no niner in this phone call number. It's 503-248-0620. Now, I've made a list of my favorite unforgettable sports calls. I've dug deep into the audio vaults. I've shared mine throughout the show. And even though I've heard them hundreds of times, I guarantee I'm still yelling every single time.
Holy shnikes.
Right here from the studio. There are plenty to choose from, and we've gotten through quite a few of them before we get to our interview. Let's see if there's any more that we haven't got to yet. Well, we didn't get to this one. Here's another famous one from back in the 60s in the Boston Celtics.
He gets it out deep, and Havlicek steals it over the stand zone. Havlicek stole the ball. It's all over. It's all over.
Johnny Havlicek is being mobbed by the fans. It's all over. Johnny Havlicek stole the ball. Oh, boy, what a play by Havlicek.
And Havlicek stole the ball. The great Johnny Most on the call there. That's a great one from way back in 1965 when Havlicek stole the ball like that. Now, some we have not got to. How about this one that was requested on the text line as well? And Michael Shacker also mentioned this one as well. 1982, Cal versus Stanford. It looked like Stanford was headed to a bowl game. John Elway would have gone to his only bowl game, except this happened.
Harmon will probably try to squib it, and he does. Ball comes loose, and the Bears have to get out of bounds. Rodgers along the sideline, another one. They're still in deep trouble at midfield. They tried to do a couple of... The ball is still loose as they get it to Rodgers. They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's going into the end zone. The Bears! The Bears have won! The Bears have won! Oh, my God! The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football.
Joe Starkey on the call there. Went into call games for the 49ers as well, but a fantastic finish. The band is on the field. Someone on the text line says, I was just about to say that one. Yeah, that's a classic one for sure. And how can we go the entire show and not mention the 1983 North Carolina State Wolfpack? If you're a fan of college basketball, maybe you've seen the documentary Survive and Advance. Here's what it sounded like.
It's down to 7 seconds. You can see the time. Wittenberg. Oh, that's a long ways.
They won it.
On the dunk, there's Billy Packer and Jim Nance. North Carolina State wins the whole thing in 1983, knocking out Clyde Drexler and the Houston Cougars for sure. Another baseball one. We've mentioned Al Michaels throughout. Now he can do hockey. He's also a big baseball announcer as well. How about this one? The Angels, at that time they were called the California Angels. They were one strike away from the World Series. One strike in 1986. It could have been the Mets and the Angels. The Angels were one strike away. If they could just get Dave Henderson, the Angels would erupt into a chorus of cheers, either enter one of the best in the game at the time. Donnie Moore was a lights-out pitcher that had the stuff to get over the Red Sox slugger, but he made one bad throw.
To left field and deep and down he goes back and it's gone. Unbelievable. You're looking at one for the ages here.
Yeah, one for the ages as the Angels went down to the Red Sox, and the Sox eventually make it to the World Series against the Mets. We had talked earlier this week as I'd filled in who are the best athletes to come from Oregon. Well, one of them, when he went to BYU and he pulled this off against Notre Dame. Remember when he went to BYU and he pulled this off against Notre Dame?
Ames against Paxson. 5 seconds. Inside. He scores with 2 seconds. 1 second on the clock. It is all over. It is all over. But it looked like Notre Dame was going to have Kelly Tripucka as the hero. The Heroes banner is lost by Notre Dame, and the Heroes banner goes to Danny Ainge.
Yeah, the great thing about March Madness is sometimes you wonder where the defense was. It makes for some exciting offensive highlights. And BYU and Notre Dame hit one wild shot after another. That's Danny Ainge finishing it off. And in honor of our text line, someone said, hey, Bill Schonely, please.
Kermit on the inbound play. Inbound. Bates at the horn. He scores! They score! And they win it! The Blazers win the ball game! They are all over
Billy Ray Bates with the lay-in at the horn. Just a couple segments ago here on the Rip City Drive. Up next, if you were a fan of the Trailblazers back in the early 80s, like I was when I was a kid, you know this name. He made the inbound pass right there, making his only NBA All-Star appearance in his first year with the Blazers back in 1980. Kermit Washington joins the Rip City Drive next here on your home of the Trailblazers, Rip City Radio 620. And welcome back into the Rip City Drive with Chad Doing, although there is no Chad Doing. He's off for the day. Curtis Long along with Michael Shacker doing our best to keep this show afloat while Chad's away. And joining us now on the Rip City Drive is a former Trailblazer and former radio host right here in Rip City. He represented the Blazers in the 1980 NBA All-Star Game and was twice a member of the NBA's All-Defensive Team. And if you're a longtime Trailblazer fan, you know his name.
I'll tell you, Brent, this is what you call a very aggressive rebound right there by Kermit Washington. Fantastic hustle play.
That's 12 rebounds. Washington is 6'8", 230 at least. That's what they list him. Played college basketball at American.
He loves to lift weights, and you can tell by looking at him.
It's Kermit Washington. Kermit, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to join us.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
Oh, so great to have you.
It's a pleasure.
I know you're currently in Las Vegas. Do you miss Portland and the Pacific Northwest?
Well, you know what? I left, and because I worked for the NBA union, and so I was in Virginia. Then they transferred me to California for doing the teams out there, which was the Lakers, the Clippers, Denver, Utah, and Dallas, and things like that. So what happened is a lot of circumstances happened, but my daughter, Dana Washington, who went to school at Lake Oswego when she was up there, came here to work after graduating from USC. Oh, no, from Oregon. She went to USC for the first 2 years and graduated from the University of Oregon the last 2 years. And she came here to Vegas to work, and she said, well, Dad, they're building new homes in a place called Summerlin. It's about 15 miles from Vegas. And she said, buy one and rent it out. So that's what we did. And so, when I retired in some other circumstances, I said, this is a place now. It's hot.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it is hot. It is hot. But during the wintertime, it's nice. It's nice. But see, people think you live in Vegas. I don't go down to the city.
Right.
People that live here, they don't really go down to the city unless somebody comes and they want to go see the city. I don't go down there. Maybe once or twice a year when friends come and they want to see the city. So I go down with them. But I try to stay away from the city. Yeah, that's my. But people have fun when they come here. I just don't have money to lose and stuff like that. So.
It's former Trailblazer NBA All-Star Kermit Washington joining us. Now, Kermit, you came to the Blazers in your 9th NBA season. I definitely want to talk about your early days in the NBA, but tell us a little bit of how you became a Trailblazer and why do you think you suddenly became an All-Star in your first season in a Blazer uniform?
Well, first of all, that's very nice. My first 4 years were with the Lakers, 4.5 years with the Lakers. And then I was sent to Boston after unfortunately, the Rudy Tomjanovich situation. Mm-hmm. And I loved Boston because Red Auerbach, I had known Red Auerbach since I was like 17 years old. His daughter went to school with me at American University, and she was friends with my girlfriend. So I got to know Red accidentally one day when she needed a ride home, and we took her home. And her last name was Auerbach, but we never put two and two together. But when I walked in the house and I saw all these Boston jerseys and trophies, I said, well, who is your dad?
Yeah.
He says, Red Auerbach. I said, Red Auerbach? I said, let me get out of here. So as I'm trying to get out the door, Red Auerbach walks in, and he says, sit down, young man. I want to talk to you. So that's how I got to know Red. And he used to come and watch me play. And he said, I'm going to draft you if you aren't a really high draft pick. But I was the 5th player picked, and Boston always was really good back then. So they didn't have a chance to get me. But then after the situation with L.A., they traded me to Boston, which I really liked Boston. Well, and I got a chance, I'm one of the few guys who can say I played in Jerry West's final game, John Havlicek's final game, Dave Bing's final game. And so then because of the franchise change, the owners of the Boston Celtics lived in L.A., and they didn't like to keep traveling to Boston. I forgot their names. I hate to say that. But John White Brown, who owned the Buffalo Braves,
yes,
they switched franchises. And the franchises, then they moved the Buffalo franchise to San Diego. And so in the trade, they said they want to take Kermit Washington and Sidney Wicks with them on the trade to make the trade good, which is a compliment. But I was happy in Boston.
Yeah.
But I went to San Diego. But it wasn't bad because San Diego was only 90 miles from L.A. where I had a home.
Right.
So San Diego and, San Diego Clippers, we weren't bad. We were like 43-39, but we had some exciting players like World B. Free, Randy Smith, Freeman Williams. Freeman Williams up there at Portland State was up there at Portland State. And we had Brian Taylor. We had some really good guards. We had Swin Nader, Sidney Wicks, myself, Nick Weatherspoon. And if it wasn't for the Blazers, that first year in San Diego, we would have made the playoffs. But we came up to, if we had won that game when we came into Portland, we would have made the playoffs that year, first year in San Diego. And we got beat because Walton had a good game.
Yeah.
But you guys were good. Portland was good. And we all knew that. As long as Walton was healthy, you guys were good. So
now, did you end up in Portland as part of the Bill Walton deal?
Yes, he graduated from Mount Helix High School in San Diego, and he wanted to come back to San Diego, and for that they sent me up as compensation for Walton. I think I was the only one that sent up. I think they sent maybe two guys up. No, they might have. I don't remember. But they got Randy Smith, but they sent him to Cleveland as Portland did. So I don't know. That's 40, 50 years.
It's a long time ago.
Yes. But I had a lot of fun in Portland. I lived there till my daughter graduated from the University of Oregon, and then I moved. But the thing is, great education up there. In Lake Oswego, that area. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing for Portland. No problem.
How did you enjoy playing for Coach Jack Ramsey?
Oh, listen, but here's the thing with coaches. If you don't really care about your stats and you give 100%, you'll be okay with all the coaches. It's the people that worry about, I didn't get enough shots. Well, I couldn't shoot from the outside half the time anyway, so that didn't make any difference. And all I did was rebound and make layups and stuff like that, and play defense and block some shots. So, I love Jack Ramsey. I could tell you funny stories, but we love Jack Ramsey. I did.
That's great. Now, some of your Blazer teammates from the early 80s, it's really fun to follow along on your Facebook feed. You tell lots of great stories about them. You mentioned Calvin Nat as one of your favorite teammates. What made Calvin so special?
Well, the funny thing about Calvin, he came from the Lucas trade from New Jersey.
Yep.
And the thing about Calvin, he didn't talk a lot. We called him Bulldog. He didn't talk a lot. And it came to the point where very good player. But he was only about 6'4", 6'4.5". But he played really big, very aggressive. And he didn't say very much, but he was a really good guy. We had a lot of fun. Michael Thompson would get on him all the time about something. Well, Michael Thompson got on everybody. That's just with Michael Thompson when he was here. But the thing about Calvin, he came to play every day. I mean, he didn't play around. He didn't. He came to play, and he was a great teammate. I mean, I loved all the guys up in Portland. That was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun. That was fun. And Billy Ray Bates, I heard from him a couple of days ago.
Oh, so good. Yeah, we're going to talk about him for sure because you've been doing some things on your Facebook feed to try to help him out.
Yeah, I am. And so he's going to come up to Portland and do a card signing. And because I can't believe the response. I don't even know. I think I was telling people about the guys on the team and putting their pictures on. I must have gotten 100,000 people that clicked onto him.
Yes.
From the Portland area. I mean, it's like 100,000. He's the most popular person I put on there. Now, he hasn't played for over 40 years in Portland. That shows you how much they loved him. Oh, my God.
And Kermit, we've been playing a highlight. I'm sure you remember this because you're in it with Billy Ray Bates. Take a listen and take us through this play if you remember this.
Kermit on the inbound play. Inbound. Bates at the horn. He scores! They score! And they win it! The Blazers win the ball game! They are all over Billy!
Yeah, you made that inbound pass. That was against the Sixers at the horn. I remember that as a kid thinking, oh, my goodness, they won.
Yeah, here's the thing about that. That was an unbelievable, talented 76ers team.
Yes.
Unbelievable. They had like 5 or 6, well, sooner or later, there were going to be 5 all-stars from that team or more. But here's the funny thing about that play. The game was close, and Jack calls a timeout. I think we were down by 1.
Yep.
I think we were down by 1. And he calls the timeout, and we all come over to the thing. And he says, well, Michael, I want you. I said, I'm sitting there. This is a true story. I have a vision that I threw it to Billy and we won the game. I'm not exaggerating.
Okay.
So I said, Jack, let me throw the pass. He says, are you sure? I said, Jack, let me throw the pass. We're gonna win this game. And so he said, okay, Kermit, you throw the pass. And I threw the pass to Billy because I knew Billy, if anywhere near Billy could get it. And he turns around and throws it in the bucket, just like my vision that I had. It was like ESPN. I mean, no, ESP or something. Not ESPN, but ESP. And, we won the game. But, the thing about Billy, as I said, he is the greatest athlete I ever played with. And I played with 12 or 13 Hall of Famers.
Yes.
Wonderful, players. But nobody had the physical ability of Billy Ray Bates. Nobody.
And the Blazers found him out of the CBA, didn't they?
Yeah, lumberjack, the Maine lumberjacks or something. I don't know, something like that. And I knew he had talent the first day he came to camp. Oh my God, he could. Well, he was about. I don't know how much he weighed, but he looked like a football player, like 6'3" and a football player. He could palm the ball. He could run all day. He could jump as good as anybody in the league. And he caught on very quickly. Very quickly. I remember the first game he got in, it was against Chicago. And we were at Chicago. I think he dunked on Artis Gilmore like 3 times. And I had never seen that. And when Billy jumped, he like was thunder. Like he was going to tear the bucket down.
Yeah.
I mean, he was that powerful. And, we all loved him. But it's not being negative, but he can never remember the plays. So what Jack would do is do a 1-4, give him the ball, and everybody really, we had positions we were supposed to be, but it was a 1-4, and he would just take the ball and go.
Clear out, give it to Billy Ray.
Yeah, he wasn't afraid of anything, any situation, no other opponent. It didn't make any difference to him. It didn't make any difference to him. He is legendary in our minds.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Blazer fans from up here, remember those days from the early 80s, Kermit Washington, Calvin Natt, Billy Ray Bates, and, of course, Michael Thompson. Now, you tell stories about Michael Thompson. Now, these days, people know him as Clay's dad, but he had a very successful NBA career, but it sounds like nobody ever wanted to sit by him on the bus. Why is that?
The bus or the plane?
Yeah.
He was into that WWF or Wrestling Federation in that boxing, and he thought he knew everything about everything. So it would be a lecture if you sat next to him, and nobody would sit next to him because he would lecture you on WWF or something, and he thought he knew everything. He did, but we all loved him, but we didn't want to sit next to him.
Yeah,
no, but he was a great teammate. And that's how we got on the radio together.
I was going to get to that. You hosted a radio show with him here in Portland.
Well, first of all, it was me and, I forget his name. And he would call up every day and harass us. So I told the guy I was on the radio with, I said, why don't we bring him in? And he would bring him in, and then once again, he acted like he knew everything, but he was funny. And so they put us together, and he would harass me, but it didn't bother me at all. I mean, whatever I said, he's going to argue, but that's Michael. I knew Michael. he would drive maybe another person crazy, but for me, I just would laugh along and just say, this boy's crazy.
Yeah.
I said, this man crazy.
You two were one of the original sports radio hosts in the Portland area. At the sports radio, we have 3 different stations now here in the Portland area, but I remember you two hosting. It was great radio because that's exactly right. You would kind of play the straight man, and Michael wouldn't be quiet the whole time. He'd razz you about everything.
Oh, that's him. That's him. Because he still thinks he knows everything. Now he does radio for the Lakers.
Yes.
The Lakers, right? Yes. But no, he had his son. He had Michael, his son, played for the Cavaliers, NBA. And Trace played for different.
The Dodgers, yeah.
Player. Dodgers, White Sox, and a few. I don't know, where he is. And then he had Clay. My daughter and my son used to babysit them.
Wow.
When they were little. And they would come to the house and were so well behaved. They were such well behaved kids. And they would sit there and be quiet, and Clay would be quiet, but then they turned out to be tremendous athletes.
Yeah.
And because their mother, Julie, was a very good athlete too. Julie Thompson. I think she was a volleyball player at University of San Francisco. I might not be correct what school, but she was a very good athlete. So she kept them in line. Michael probably would try to hide from him because he always be reading his paper and thinking he knows everything. But that's Michael, so we all knew Michael. So.
Great stuff from Kermit Washington, former Trailblazer, NBA All-Star. Now, you talked about Michael Thompson. You said you loved all your Blazer teammates. I was reading something on Facebook that you posted about someone who was not one of your teammates, and you mentioned that Daryl Dawkins was one of your toughest defensive assignments. What made Chocolate Thunder so tough on the court?
He was bigger, stronger, faster, better player, athlete. And no, he was just better. I mean, and he was so powerful. And people argue with me, but next to Shaq, I think he was the most powerful player that has ever played the game of NBA. And I knew Wilt. So they keep saying Wilt, it's nice. And I don't want to hurt Wilt's legacy.
Right.
But Wilt was not strong like that. Wilt was not strong like Shaq or Daryl Dawkins because he didn't have the leg strength. He didn't have the explosion. Now, he was strong, but he wasn't in their category. But these guys were big, fast, strong. Oh, my goodness. I mean, you can't compare the explosive strength that those two have. And I know Shaq really well. And I just couldn't believe because he came to the Pete Knowles Big Man's Camp all the time. And I was a counselor there, and I would sometimes get behind him and just feel his strength when he would be dunking it on people. It was amazing. That's another big kid, too. That was another big kid. But he was, him and Daryl Dawkins. But, see, he had game. Daryl Dawkins should have gone to college.
Yeah.
Because he would have been more mature. But he went with that team, the 76ers, and they weren't a very well-disciplined team. They beat everybody by pure talent. They were just better than everybody talent-wise.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. But, Daryl Dawkins was something. Yeah, and a funny story. I thought you read the funny story. When I was traded, I was in the Boston Celtics. I was staying at a hotel in Boston because we would play the 76ers Friday and Sunday.
Okay.
Friday in Philly and Sunday in Boston. So I didn't know that they stayed at the hotel I was staying at because it was a snowstorm and I couldn't look for a place to live. So Red Auerbach said, just stay in this hotel. He put me in a hotel, the Sheridan Prudential Center in Boston. And the best thing about it for me, I've just told people, it had 29 flights of stairs.
Okay. So
I would run them with my 20-pound weight vest 10 times a day.
Wow.
It was it was not pleasant. But because the Boston Celtic team was older, they had Havlicek, Dave Bing, had a lot of older guys. We didn't practice that hard, and I knew I had to practice hard because I had been suspended and I hadn't played for 3 months. So I would run that 10 times a day, 5 times in the morning and 5 times at night because we didn't practice hard. So I had to get ready. Well, I'm down there eating the breakfast in a cafe on Sunday morning. And Daryl Dawkins walks in. I said, Daryl, come here. Come sit with me. Eat breakfast with me. He says, okay. Because I wanted to butter him up.
Yeah.
Because if I had to check him, I didn't want him breaking the backboard down on me. He's more powerful. So when he sat down, I said, Daryl, your outside shot looks really good. You've been working on it?
You should take some more of those.
Oh, yeah. I want him to shoot a jump shot.
Yeah.
I want him to get under that bucket. He says, yeah, I've been working on that. I said, Daryl, don't shoot that on me today, please.
Did he fall for it?
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, good.
He didn't realize what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
He didn't realize I was terrified under the bucket. I couldn't stop him. And I don't think anybody in the league can stop him under the bucket, to be honest with you. So he sits down, and we're talking, and he orders like 12 scrambled eggs, a side of bacon, 8 pieces of toast, other stuff, bacon, everything, and about 3 glasses of orange juice. So I said, Daryl, how do you know what your teammates, or how do you know what they want to eat? He looks at me and says, Kermit, this is for me.
This is all for me.
I said, oh, my God, for me. He ate that. Oh, my God. I said, I saw why he's so big and so strong and everything else like that. But, no, he was a good guy. I just didn't want him dunking, tearing the bucket down. But we won the game on Sunday.
There you go. That's because you had Daryl Dawkins shooting jump shots on you. You convinced him to shoot from the outside. That was a good strategy, Kermit.
Yeah, but you couldn't win, though, because you had to check either him, Dr. J, or George McGinnis.
Yeah.
You couldn't win. You couldn't win.
Well, you talked about, Kermit, you talked about you running up and down the stairs with a weight vest on. Your work ethic is legendary. And I wanted to do this before we let you go. I think it's important for high school athletes to hear this as well. You were not highly recruited out of high school. Is it true that you averaged 4 points per game in high school and then went on to be an All-American at American? How did that happen?
Well, I played football, but I grew. I was a football player. Listen to this. I lettered in football, tennis, and basketball. Now, wait, but I never really got in a lot of games in basketball because my best friend was the star of the basketball team. His name was Glenn Price. And he averaged about 30 a game. He said, Kermit, come out. Your football's over. Come out for the basketball team. I only had played basketball on the playgrounds with, all my buddies. That's it. But I was 6'4". So I said, okay, I'll go out. He said, because he had a car. And he says, I'll give you a ride to school and a ride home if you go out for the team. I said, okay, I'll go for the team. And so I made the team, but I didn't really expect to play.
Yeah.
I didn't care if I played or not. Well, some of the guys didn't do any schoolwork, so they got cut. And so sometimes I would get in the games. But I averaged about 4. In a lot of games, I never got in.
Yeah.
And so what happened, because I embarrassed myself, I said, well, let me see if I can get better in basketball just to be better on the playground. That's the truth. Just the playground. Well, I read a book. I read something on Spencer Haywood, who was he's a Hall of Famer. And I heard that he would run with a 20-pound weight vest. So I saved up my money to get a 20-pound weight vest. And I said, okay, I'm going to start working out with this. Then I read a book I knew James Brown. You know James Brown, who does football on Sundays?
Yes.
The announcer?
Yeah.
Well, he was a really good basketball player. And we were in school together in junior high school, but he went to a school called DeMatha, which was a very powerful basketball school. And then he went on to Harvard. He graduated from Harvard. And I read that he jumped rope. So I said, I'm going to put those two things together. Jumping rope with a 20-pound weight vest. Well, I got up to jumping. It took me months. I got up to jumping 10,000 times every night with my 20-pound weight vest. It took me like an hour and a half every night to do that. And in a matter of a month or so, I could jump.
Yeah.
But I could dunk the ball. I could do everything, but I had no other basketball skills. But then, for some reason, I started growing again. And so so it's a long story. How much time do you have?
Well, we're coming up on the break here pretty soon, Kermit, but you've definitely filled us in on what became 20 points, 20 rebounds, one of the only people to be able to do that in college. And it's been...
It's 6 guys, yeah.
6
Nobody's
guys
done it
total.
In 50-some years.
Yep, and it's such
nobody's done it. Yeah.
I would say as a Blazer fan all my life, and I remember those teams from the early 80s, I was so thrilled that I was able to get a hold of you and you agreed to come on the show. So great to hear. We could hear stories all day long, but again, our show ends in another 14 minutes, so we'll have to get you back on sometime.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? Yeah, please do, because when Billy comes up there to sign cards, I'll give you guys a call, okay?
That sounds great.
Maybe you get Billy on your radio show, okay?
Oh, I'm sure they would love that. Our fans would love that. We're the home of the Trailblazers. They would love to have Billy Ray Bates on, and we'll get both of you on. That sounds perfect.
Okay, you take care.
All right, there he goes. Kermit Washington, former Trailblazer NBA All-Star. Thanks so much for his time today. And one more segment to go here on the Rip City Drive. We'll take a look at this day in history. You may be surprised at some of the things that took place, some sports-related, others not so much. That'll wrap up the show right here on your home of the Trailblazers, Rip City Radio 620. Mike Shacker, don't think I don't realize what you just played right there. Should have been gone. Yeah, Mike Shacker, don't think I don't realize what you just played right there. Should have been gone. Yeah, I know. We went overtime on that last one, but I've got special permission from Shacker. Kermit Washington, so many stories to tell. We could talk to him for an hour. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. I love the insights on that lob play to Billy Ray Bates, and apparently Billy Ray Bates is going to be in Portland here soon with Kermit Washington. Do a little card signing. We'll make sure we keep you updated on that. It's a fun show we've had today here on the Rip City Drive. It's great filling in for Chad. Curtis Long along with you for one more segment here, and that segment is always This Day in History.
Think you know what makes today so special?
I don't know what those words mean.
Just to make sure that you do, here's Curtis Long with Today in History.
All right, let's get to it. On this day in 1922, the Chicago Cubs defeated the Philadelphia Phillies 26-23. It's the highest scoring game in Major League Baseball history. Oh, only 49 runs scored in the game. That was 1922, though. How about on this day in 1938?
He started baseball's famous streak that's got us all aglow. He's just a man and not a freak. Joltin' Joe DiMaggio.
That's right. In 1938, Joe DiMaggio hit his 100th career home run in his 395th game, reaching the milestone faster than any previous Major League player. In 1946, on this day, Ben Hogan defeated Ed Oliver in match play at the PGA Championship. Where was that held? Well, right here at the Portland Golf Club. That gave Hogan his first major championship victory of his Hall of Fame career. That was right here at the Portland Golf Club this day in 1946. Then on this day in 1965.
What a block by Russell!
One thing that you want to do to your opponents is to make them think, make them know they can't win.
Make them know they can't win. On this day in 1965, Bill Russell signed a contract that made him the NBA's highest paid player. He earned $1 more than rival Wilt Chamberlain. That's part of a documentary as well. Pretty funny story there that Bill Russell just wanted to be higher paid than Wilt Chamberlain, so he took $1 more. That's pretty funny. Here's one that's not sports related. On this day in 1970.
And it seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind.
Elton John made his first live appearance in the United States. He opened for David Ackles at the Troubadour in Los Angeles. On this day in 1985.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Al Davis of Seattle. And good strikes out the side. Dwight Gooden, and at the age of 19, comes into the All-Star game and strikes out the side.
That, of course, was the All-Star game in 1984, but on this day in 1985, Dwight Gooden defeated the San Diego Padres 9-3 to become the youngest 20-game winner of the modern era. He was just 20 years old, won 20 games in 1985. Then a year later, on this day in 1986, Mark McGwire of the Oakland Athletics hit the first home run of his major league career. Yeah, he had quite a few after that, beginning a path that would lead to 583 career homers. Here's a good one from 1991. On this day in 1991...
But we was with so gallantly streaming, and the Rockets red flag.
Uh-oh. That's Carl Lewis singing the national anthem. That is not what happened on this day in 1991. But on this day in 1991, Carl Lewis reclaimed the 100-meter world record at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. 100 meters, 9.8 seconds. So we know Carl Lewis can run. Well, really can't sing too much. That was pretty funny there. Uh-oh. Not going to hit that high note for Carl Lewis. Also on this day in 1996.
Hey, it's Tiger.
Yeah, Tiger Woods defeated Steve Scott on the 38th hole of the final to become the first golfer to win 3 consecutive U.S. amateur championships. Where was that amateur championship held? Guess what? Right down the road here, Pumpkin Ridge Golf Club here in the Portland area. Tiger Woods. You remember when Tiger Woods was here as an amateur at Pumpkin Ridge? On this day in 1996. Then on this day in 2011.
Driven deep to right field. Going back, De Jesus. See ya! A grand slam for Robinson Cano. And the Yankees are right back in it. They trail 7-6.
Yeah, Robinson Cano, Russell Martin, Curtis Granderson all hit grand slams as the Yankees became the first Major League team to hit 3 in one game, defeating the Oakland A's 22-9. That'll do it for this edition of the Rip City Drive. Huge thanks to our listeners. Lots of great calls and tweets. Chad will be back tomorrow. Huge thanks to our listeners. Lots of great calls and tweets. Chad will be back tomorrow for a full show. And thanks for hanging out with me right here in the principal's office on Rip City Radio. And right now, class is dismissed.